Hey, good people, Jackye Mumphrey, the real estate maven, and I wanted to share with you a few real estate myths that you may have or someone you know may have about buying and or selling real estate. And one of the ones is you need 20, people still believe you need 20% down to buy a house, and you don't. That's just the gold standard of mortgages, 20% down, 30-year mortgage. You know, your rate stays the same for 30 years, but you don't need 20% down. There's FHA, which is the Federal Housing Administration. They are basically, let's call them a quasi-insurance mortgage program for all intents and purposes that insures the loan that a lender gives you via their guidelines, if that makes sense. So they allow you to put down as little as 3.5% for every 100,000 that you borrow. There's also VA, if you're a veteran, Veterans Affairs or Veterans Administration, that will guarantee your loan through a lender of your choice up to 100% of your purchase price, and you have to put any money down for those who qualify. And for some people, they who have a disability through the VA, they don't have to pay their VA funding fee. So that's something to think about. And there's also a 3% down, 3% down conventional loan available out there as well. So that the myth of needing 20% down all the time to buy a house is not true. Another one would be that you have to have perfect credit. You can get an FHA loan for as little as a 580 credit score. Each lender, of course, is going to have their own overlay. On top of that, some of them are just going to go with the bare bone minimum of the FHA guidelines. Others will have their own overlay. And what an overlay is basically a set of rules or requirements that individual lender would have on top of what the FHA loan guarantees for you to qualify. For instance, so they may say, hey, you need 3 months of savings in the bank before you close to show that you could have the ability to pay the mortgage the day after you buy it, or at least 30 days after you buy it. Another myth that people have is that prices are not negotiable. They are negotiable. Sellers are not giving their houses away. If someone put a house on the market day one, they're not going to take $50,000 off the very next day. Otherwise, they could have just listed it for $50,000 less. Or their agent probably would have bought it if it's that much of a deal. But yeah, they don't negotiate that quickly. But, you know, a week, 2 weeks, 30 days, 6 months, yes, they're more inclined to negotiate. So yes, pricing is negotiable. Even with the builders, they'll oftentimes will go in without your own representation because you figure like, oh, the sales agent's there to help me. No, the sales agent is there to help the builder. And they'll say, oh, you know, I'll just negotiate myself, and then whatever fee you would have paid an agent, just take it off the house. Typically, they don't do that. They may give you some incentives or closing costs, but it was generally going to give you closing costs anyway if you use their lender. Get you an agent to work with you on the new construction, and then make your decisions accordingly. Another myth is that you should always go with the lowest interest rate on a loan. That's not always the best case. When you're comparing apples to apples, you need to look at what the rate is. You need to know what your down payment is. You need to know what the lender fees are. So like if you were to go with the lowest interest rate that's out there, which most likely would be an adjustable rate mortgage, you can get those about a point or more below, or a percentage below than your average rate right now, which I think is somewhere around the 6.5 to 6.8 range. And those are the cheapest interest rates. However, if you don't know what an adjustable rate mortgage is, you may not be ready for that as a homeowner, as a home buyer. So that's the cheapest, that's the lowest, but doesn't mean it's the best. Most people like a steady Stanley when it comes to their interest rates. There are people that I have that are very savvy that know how to handle interest-only loans and know how to handle adjustable rate mortgages, but most people are not as savvy as they think they are. So those aren't usually the best. For right now, you know, most people are going to find that a 30-year mortgage is going to work best for them. There are 15-year mortgages out there too. And then there's the that random 40-year mortgage that people talk, well, I want to do a 40-year mortgage, but, usually you're not going to want to live in the places that would allow for that and be on farmland and all that other stuff. So that won't apply to most people. Another myth that's out there is that you don't need an agent to buy a home. You absolutely do not need a real estate agent to sell a home, buy a home, lease a home, market a home, none of that. Does it help to have one? Yes. You can pull your own teeth out of your mouth, get some pliers, get some Novocaine, drink you some corn liquor, numb yourself up, pull your own tooth out. Is it advisable? Probably not. A lot of agents suck, and you don't know if you have a good agent or a bad agent until you start working with them. They will start making you sign stuff because that's the new rule now because of that lawsuit that happened a couple of years ago where like you can't go out with an agent without having something signed. And that signed document that you have with the agent is really just an acknowledgement that you agree to work with the agent to help you negotiate and navigate the escrow process, whatever, any house that they show you or any other house that you put under contract while you're under contract with them. It's really just an acknowledgement, and it keeps the agent from getting in trouble with the NAR rules and with their state laws, depending on which state you're in, because some states adopted it as law, part of that lawsuit. And states like Alabama did not. So in Alabama, you don't necessarily need to have a written agreement to see houses with agents, but those individual agents or individual brokerages may require that to work with their particular agents. So, talk to an agent, talk to three, talk about the process, talk about what's involved, how long it's going to take, what's going to be expected of you, what your expectations are, things like that. But get an agent. You don't need one, right? So it's just like, you don't need to run. You don't need to exercise. You really can get through your whole life without exercising. Is it advisable? No, right? Go get a doctor. Go get a physical. Go out and walk. Go and exercise. You're going to be better for it. Just like go hire you an agent that you like and that's competent and good at what they do. You'll be better for it. All right. Another myth that's out there is that renting is always cheaper. No, it's not. It depends on where you live, the product you have, the condition of it, the owner that owns your property. And then there's the thing that I go on a hill and die on it when people talk about on this platform and other platforms about a generation of people not buying houses because the government will always own your house, right? Oh, if you don't pay your taxes, they'll come take it. If you don't pay your HOA fees, they come take your house. All this stuff. You have to pay for the services that allow you to utilize the land that you own. So you go and live somewhere and you don't want to pay taxes. Well, you have to use a road to get to where your house is. You like drinking municipal water, having access to it to wash. You like having power lines to send you energy. You like having all of the freedoms, right, that are associated with just living. You got to pay for it. And little known fact, you're still paying taxes when you rent. You're just paying them through your rent. When you get that notice that they're raising your rent every single year, it's reflective of the cost of maintenance to run whatever apartment or house you're living in, plus the taxes that go up. You're paying it anyway, and you don't own it. You truly don't own it. You can't write off the interest. You can't write off this. You can't do any of that stuff. So don't let somebody on this app or any other app talk you out of owning a house if you really do want to own one, because the government, with their fear mongering that these people use all the time, gets on my nerves, that you don't really own it. No, you own it. You're responsible for it. And it's not always a less expensive option to rent. Typically, if you own, you make out better over time, just like stocks. Anyway, those are just a couple of myths that I wanted to talk about today. If I can ever answer any of your questions, just leave them down in a comment or shoot me a message and we'll chat. See you later. Peace.